The arrival. The first warning came as a ripple through the ionosphere, an unexplainable distortion that knocked half the world's satellites offline in a single hour. By the time scientists scrambled to explain it, the skies over the Pacific boiled with fire. They arrived in silence. Enormous ships, blacker than space itself, slid into Earth's orbit without so much as a broadcast. They were nothing like the sources of old science fiction. These were jagged, living fortresses, bristling with spines and glowing with inner veins of violet light. Even through telescopes, they looked predatory, like something that had evolved to hunt. The world froze. Newscasters stumbled over words. Air forces scrambled fighters they knew were useless. Social feeds swelled with blurry footage of the Drekaar Dominion. Then came the voice. It wasn't transmitted through radio or television. It was in people's minds, deep, resonant, inhuman. Every language at once. Surrender, you're strong. You're young. You'll labor. Serve the Dominion, and be spared the burning. In major cities, millions simply stood still, trembling. Others screamed. Some prayed. The Drekaar didn't wait for an answer. Over the South China Sea, a single beam of violet fire lanced down and vaporized an entire island chain in 3 seconds. In North America, a Drekaar dropship descended over Kansas farmlands, scooping up hundreds of people in a gravity snare before vanishing back into the clouds. The message was clear: resistance meant annihilation. Captain Elias Ward watched it all unfold from the command center of Fort Hamilton, a hardened military base buried beneath the Adirondacks. He was a career soldier, special forces, scars on every limb, medals that felt like lead weights. But the footage of that island burning, even he had to look away. "They are not here to negotiate," Ward said, his voice steady but low. "They are here to take us." "Slaves," Dr. Yora Chen murmured from her console. She was a civilian advisor, short black hair tucked behind one ear, eyes locked on a string of alien code scrolling across her screen. "They've done this before. I'm picking up traces of the same comms signature from old deep space intercepts. They strip worlds, take the population, leave nothing behind." Ward's jaw clenched. "Then we stop them before they get that far." A low alarm pulsed. One of the junior techs swiveled in his chair. "So, Drekaar dropships inbound. Closest landing zone is 30 miles east, rural sector, low population density. They're coming for live captures," Chen said. Ward grabbed his helmet. "Then we make sure they don't get them." The trip to the intercept site was fast and rough, an armored transport grinding over backcountry roads, headlights off, guided by drone feeds. Ward's team was small, 10 soldiers from 6 different countries, all that could be spared for quick reaction. Among them was Private Darius Cole, barely 20, carrying his rifle like it was a lifeline. His parents had been on the Kansas manifest. Taken. No one expected them back. They reached the tree line overlooking a wide field just in time to see the alien craft descend. It was smaller than the orbiting behemoths, but still huge, the size of a football stadium, hovering effortlessly, a faint mist swirling beneath it. A ramp unfolded. Drekaar soldiers emerged, towering 8-foot figures in segmented black armor. Their heads were narrow, their faces hidden behind plates of glassy bone. Each carried a hooked staff that pulsed with violet light. Weapons, tools, maybe both. Ward gave the signal. The resistance fighters opened fire. Bullets sparked off alien armor like rain on steel. But the Drekaar staggered, surprised, as the first wave of fire was followed by rocket launchers and jury-rigged electromagnetic grenades. The aliens reeled under the blasts, one collapsing with a hiss as its armor cracked. Cole was already moving, sprinting across the field. Ward shouted after him, but the kid didn't slow. He slammed into one of the Drekaar at full force, shoving his rifle under the alien's chin and pulling the trigger. The Drekaar dropped, twitching. The fight lasted less than 5 minutes. When it was over, the dropship lifted away, not in retreat, but as if it simply didn't care about losing a handful of troops. But humanity cared. They had their first alien prisoner. In the dim light of the transport's cargo bay, the Drekaar soldier lay restrained, breathing shallowly. Its armor had been pried away in pieces, revealing skin the color of ash and muscles corded like braided steel. Chen knelt beside it, scanner in hand. It's dying, but not from the wounds. The alien's milky eyes flicked open. It made a sound, half hiss, half words, and for a moment, Ward thought it was cursing them. Then he realized it was speaking their language. You burn us, it rasped. Ward frowned. What? The Drekaar coughed, a wet sound like stones grinding. Your minds. You burn us. Then it went still. Ward exchanged a long look with Chen. Whatever that meant, it wasn't just fear. It was weakness. And weakness was something humanity could use. The resistance forms. The Drekaar prisoner was dead before sunrise. No poison, no bullet, no visible injury. It had simply stopped living, as though being on Earth was slowly killing it. Dr. Yurichin's autopsy wasn't like anything in the textbooks. Under the microscope, the alien's neural tissue was riddled with strange fractures, as if electrical storms had burned tiny paths through its brain. It's us, she said finally, pulling off her gloves. Our brains run on a unique electromagnetic pattern. It interferes with their neural lattice. I think just being close to us disrupts them. Ward leaned on the table, brow furrowed. That's not a weakness, Chen. That's a weapon. The next weeks were chaos. The Drekaar tightened their grip on the planet, landing hundreds of drop zones across every continent. Cities were sectioned off, movement restricted, food supply chains seized. Anyone who resisted disappeared into slave convoys. And yet, something was shifting. Where the Drekaar expected fear, they found resistance. Small at first, scattered pockets of fighters. All police armories were raided. Farmers armed themselves with hunting rifles and improvised explosives. Engineers built jammers out of microwave parts to block Drekaar comms. Ward's unit became the nucleus of something bigger. Their base at Fort Hamilton grew into a coordination hub, connecting resistance cells via encrypted shortwave bursts and patch satellite relays. The network was crude, but it worked. Chen was relentless. Every night she worked in the lab, turning her theory about neural disruption into reality. The alien's armor plating now sat dismantled on her workbench, its power cores humming faintly. She was building something small, portable, that could amplify the human brain's natural interference. Darius Cole threw himself into every mission. He volunteered for dangerous supply runs, sabotage raids, reckon dives into alien-occupied zones. Ward noticed the edge in his voice, the way he pushed too far, too fast. You're going to get yourself killed, Ward told him one night, watching the kid reassemble his rifle. Darius didn't look up. They took my family, sir. I'm already dead. Ward said nothing. He'd heard the same tone in too many soldiers before. By the third week, the Drekaar adjusted their tactics. Ground patrols became more heavily armored. Drones scouted ahead of slave convoys. And then came the broadcasts. All across the resistance network, screens flickered to life with alien imagery, towering Drekaar lords addressing humanity directly. Their voices were calm, cold. Your resistance is futile. Your defiance is meaningless. Your survival depends on obedience. Ward switched the screen off mid-sentence. If they're talking this much, he told the others, it means we're hurting them. The real turning point came from a captured data shard, a Drekaar storage crystal pried from a wrecked scout drone. Chen worked on it for 2 days straight, fingers stained with conductive paste, eyes red from lack of sleep. Finally, she burst into the command room holding a tablet. I found it. This is a map of Drekaar command nodes on Earth. And here's the best part. Every one of them is linked to a planetary coordination hub in orbit. Take that out, and we cripple every drop ship, every ground unit, every slave transport. Ward studied the map. Where's the hub? Chen pointed to a position over the mid-Atlantic, inside their flagship. The room went silent. Even saying the words felt impossible. An assault on the flagship was suicide. But the Drekaar weren't giving humanity the luxury of hesitation. A decrypted transmission revealed that the Cole fleet was inbound, a reinforcement armada large enough to strip the planet in days. They would arrive in less than 3 weeks. Ward looked around at the grim faces in the room. Chen with her schematics, Darius with his rifle, radio operators waiting for orders. Then we don't have 3 weeks, Ward said. We hit them before the fleet gets hard. That night, the resistance network lit up. Ward's orders were broadcast in tight beam code to fighters on every continent. Phase 1, disrupt. Attack supply lines, ambush convoys, force the Drekaar to spread their troops thin. Phase 2, gather. Assemble all captured alien tech for modification. Prepare the neural disruptors. Phase 3, strike. Infiltrate the flagship before the coal fleet arrives. In a dim corner of the base, Darius sat cleaning his weapon. He wasn't listening to the noise of the room. He was thinking about Kansas, about his mother's laugh, his father's calloused hands. When the time came to hit that flagship, he would be there, whatever it took. The Drekaar had come to Earth for slaves. They'd found prey that bit back. And for the first time in the Dominion's long, bloody history, the prey was organizing, striking the heart. The Atlantic was black and cold beneath the storm. Rain hammered the deck of the stealth submersible as it cut toward the drop point. Inside, the cramped cabin was silent except for the hum of machinery and the occasional groan of the hull under pressure. Captain Elias Ward checked the team's gear one last time. Hybrid rifles, EMP grenades, and Chen's newest invention, portable neural disruptors, worn like thick collars around their necks. Each unit amplified the brain's interference pattern, strong enough to disable Drekaar troops in a 20-meter radius. Once we're inside the flagship, Ward said over the comms, we move fast. We plant charges on the core, extract, and pray the Atlantic swallows what's left. Chen adjusted her disruptor. And if the Drekaar adapt before we're done. Ward gave her a thin smile. Then we improvise. The approach was ghost-like. The Drekaar flagship hovered above the ocean, an obsidian monolith half a kilometer long, its surface crawling with violet veins of light. The submersible's Drekaar transponder, ripped from a captured drone, fooled the outer perimeter just long enough for the team to rise beneath the shadow of the massive landing bay. Ward led the breach. The moment their boots hit the alien deck, the disruptors hummed to life. 2 Drekaar sentries staggered as if drunk, their armor plates twitching before they collapsed to the floor. They moved quickly through the corridors, walls of living metal that pulsed faintly, as if the ship itself was breathing. Chen guided them with a hacked scanner, tracing energy signatures toward the core. Halfway there, they heard it, voices. Not human. Ward motioned for silence. Peering around the corner, they saw a chamber filled with dozens of beings in shackles, some vaguely humanoid, others utterly alien, scaled bipeds, insectoid workers, a feathered species with wide, fearful eyes. One of them, tall and gray-skinned, stepped forward when they saw the humans. You are free, it said in broken English. Chen blinked. You can speak our language. Learned from prisoners. I am Seraph. I was Drekaar before I defected. Ward didn't have time for diplomacy. We're here to destroy this ship. Help us or stay here. Your choice. Seraph's eyes glinted. I will help. I know paths they do not guard. And I know why they fear you. With Seraph guiding them, they bypassed 2 patrol routes and entered a maintenance shaft that led straight toward the car. Along the way, Seraph explained, the Drekaar ruled through psychic dominance. Most species bent easily under their mental commands. Humans didn't. Their neural patterns resisted Drekaar influence, creating static in the hive-mind link. That Baron the dying soldier had mentioned was no metaphor. To Drekaar, being near humans was like standing in a storm of white-hot noise. Ward realized the truth in that moment. Humanity wasn't just resisting. They were poison to the Drekaar. The core chamber was a cathedral of alien engineering, a sphere of seething violet energy suspended between 3 massive pylons. It pulsed with each heartbeat of the ship, a living reactor. Chen dropped to one knee, pulling explosives from her pack. Give me 3 minutes. The team formed a perimeter. Darius crouched beside Ward, rifle ready. 3 minutes is a long time, sir. It always is, Ward said. The first Drekaar hit them 30 seconds later, armored elites immune to small arms fire. But the disruptors worked. The aliens twitched, stumbled, and Ward's team cut them down with concentrated bursts. 2 minutes in, heavier footsteps thundered through the corridor. The High Guard. Darius saw the shapes first, massive Drekaar in exoskeletal armor, weapons crackling with violet arcs. "Sir, we've got a problem." "Hold them." Ward barked. The fight was brutal. One guard smashed a human soldier into the wall, breaking his spine instantly. Another caught Darius with a sweeping blow, sending him sprawling. But Darius rose, teeth clenched, and hurled himself forward, shoving an EMP grenade into the guard's chest. The explosion tore both apart. "Charges set," Chen shouted, yanking Ward back from the fight. They ran. Seraph led them through a maintenance vent as alarms howled. The flagship shook violently as the core began to overload. Behind them, fire blossomed through the corridors, consuming everything in a violet inferno. The escape drop bay loomed ahead. They piled into a Drekaar skimmer and launched into the storm, the flagship shrinking behind them. A blinding light ripped through the clouds as the ship tore itself apart, chunks of molten debris crashing into the ocean below. Ward sat in the cockpit, soaked in sweat and blood. Chen was pale but alive. 2 of the team were gone, one of them Darius. Seraph stood silently, watching the wreckage vanish beneath the waves. "They will come again," he said softly. "But now they know Faye." Ward's eyes hardened. "Good. Fear will make them bleed faster." They left in ruins. The ocean was still burning when the sky split open. Dozens of Drekaar warships emerged from the clouds, sleek and jagged, moving with predatory precision. The Coal Fleet had arrived, more than enough firepower to strip Earth in days. Their flagship's destruction had slowed them, but not stopped them. From the Resistance Command bunker in the Adirondacks, Captain Elias Ward watched the incoming signatures on the radar. Each one was the size of a city. "They'll be in strike range within the hour," the comms officer reported. Dr. Yorichen stood beside a table littered with alien components. Her eyes were bloodshot, her hands shaking, but her voice was steady. "The disruption field is ready. Once we activate it, the entire planet becomes one giant interference source. Drekaar coordination will collapse." Ward nodded. "Then we time it so their fleet is inside our reach." Across the world, resistance fighters prepared for what they knew might be their final stand. In the ruins of Balin, scavenge tanks were fitted with Drekaar cannons. In the deserts of Nevada, captured war machines were painted with crude human flags. From the forests of Brazil to the mountains of Pakistan, humanity's survivors locked and loaded. The plan was simple: wait until the fleet committed, then unleash the disruption. The Drekaar came in waves. Dropships screamed through the clouds, escorted by swarms of attack drones. Cities already scarred from the first invasion came under fresh assault. Ward's EPs crackled with urgent voices, calls for backup, enemy positions, casualties. He kept his eyes on Chen, who stood by the control console, her hand hovering over the activation switch. "Not yet," he murmured. Then the fleet began to descend lower, confident in their overwhelming power. Drekaar commanders barked orders in guttural tones, their forces moving like a single mind. Ward's jaw tightened. "Now!" Chen slammed her palm onto the switch. The disruption field roared to life. It wasn't something you could see, exactly, more like a shimmer in the air, a deep vibration that rattled teeth and made the hair on your arms stand up. For the Drekaar, it was far worse. On the battlefield, alien soldiers staggered mid-stride. Drones spun out of control, slamming into buildings or crashing into the dirt. Entire warships drifted off course, colliding with one another in the sky. The Hivemind link was breaking. Ward grabbed the comm. "All units, hit them now." From every corner of the globe, humanity struck back. In Paris, resistance fighters hijacked a Drekaar war machine and used it to rip through enemy lines. In Tokyo, rooftop snipers picked off disoriented aliens as civilians poured into the streets, overwhelming the invaders in sheer numbers. In the Sahara, a convoy of desert raiders detonated an entire Drekaar fuel depot, the explosion visible for miles. The coal fleet above Earth descended into chaos. Some ships fired on each other. Others tried to flee, only to be chased by liberated alien prisoners flying captured craft. Ward's unit wasn't content to fight from the ground. They boarded one of the smaller Drekaar command ships during the confusion, blasting their way to the bridge. Sereth, the defected alien, moved like a blade through the Drekaar crew, his knowledge of their tactics turning every skirmish into a massacre. "They have no leader now," he growled, driving his blade into the chest of the ship's captain. "Cut the head, and the body falls." Chen's voice came over the comm ward. "I can overload the field, turn it into a permanent burn across the entire fleet. But it'll fry every system here, including ours." Ward glanced at the burning chaos outside the viewport. "Do it." The final surge of the disruption field was like a planetary scream. Drekaar warships convulsed, lights dying, engines stalling. One by one, the great black ships began to fall, some crashing into the sea, others breaking apart in mid-air. By nightfall, the surviving Drekaar ships fled into orbit, their formation shattered, their numbers gutted. The resistance didn't chase them. There was no need. The message was clear. Earth was poison. Ward stood on the rooftop of the ruined command ship, the cold wind carrying the smell of burning alien metal. Chen joined him, her eyes scanning the shattered horizon. "They'll tell stories about this day," she said quietly. "They'd better," Ward replied, "because if they ever forget, those things will come back." Sereth approached, holding a Drekaar war banner torn in two. "Not just humans," he said. "Other worlds will rise now. You've shown them the Dominion can bleed." Ward took the banner and let it fall into the flames. "Then let them come. We're done kneeling." When the dawn came, Earth was scarred, cities broken, and millions gone. But humanity was still standing. The Drekaar had come for slaves. They had left in ruins. And somewhere in the deep void, the survivors of the Dominion carried the memory of this defeat, and the name of the species that had given it to them. Humans.